Rural America, I hope you're watching. Farmers and ranchers, I hope you're watching because you're being gaslit right out of existence. Hey guys, my name's Will. This is the Back 40 and let's talk about it. Nothing summarizes, nothing epitomizes, nothing represents the gaslighting that's happening to farmers and ranchers in rural America better than the Chinese trade deal that was announced today. Can you imagine a situation in rural America at any job you hold or on any farm and ranch in this country where you could be praised, lifted up, and put on a pedestal for creating a problem, blowing up the entire economy by creating that problem, backing away from your stance that created the problem, and in the end, claiming a victory because you had to back down? That's exactly what just happened today. In rural America, farmers and ranchers, I hope you're watching because all of America is going to pay the price, but you're going to pay a very special price.
Well, my friends, our farmers are in full-blown crisis, and it's not because of Mother Nature. It's because of Donald Trump's reckless tariffs that have torched decades of trade relationships and handed America's agriculture future to China and Brazil on a silver platter. 12,000 tons of pork canceled. Soybean exports collapsed, and family farms are now shutting down. And it doesn't stop there. Longshoremen, truckers, warehouse workers, entire communities are being gutted. This didn't have to happen, but Trump wanted a trade war. He wanted headlines, and now our farmers are paying the price while China laughs its way to the Brazilian soybean fields. And to make it worse, farmers who sign contracts with their own government, they're being stiffed, left holding the bag. So let me be clear. I will fight like hell to rebuild our rural economy, restore fair trade, and make sure American farmers never again become pawns in a MAGA publicity stunt.
U.S. farmers are regretting their vote for Donald Trump after their business suffers. Womp womp. Since China implemented their tariffs, farmers are suffering because soybean farmers, especially in the Midwest, are not being able to export as much as they're used to. I wonder why. Yet they voted for him anyway. They voted for him about 2 or 3 times, actually. I don't know how you thought voting for him would help you in your business when creating tariffs will probably hurt you. And he's said he's going to do this multiple times. But, you know, another example of Americans thinking that other parts of the world need them the most. Brazil is the #1 soybean import for China. They don't need the U.S. Brazil is steadily increasing the production year after year after year, while the U.S. has remained stagnant. And y'all thought Donald Trump getting in office will help y'all? You put somebody in office who directly hinders your business.
I'm a farmer and I voted for Donald Trump. I just want everybody to know that what Trump is doing is the right thing to do.
What we are witnessing here is not just a small economic hiccup. It's a full-blown crisis in rural America. Farmers, especially those who grow soybeans, are suffering the consequence of Donald Trump's reckless trade war. These tariffs, hailed as a bold move by Trump administration, have in fact touched decades of hard-earned trade relationship, and for what are supposed America first. Policy that handed America's agricultural future directly to Brazil and China. Soybean farmers in particular have felt the brunt of these tariffs. The export markets that once drove their business have collapsed. In fact, the US reportedly lost 37 billion metric tons of soybean sales overseas. That's families going bankrupt, farms shutting down, and generational wealth being erased. China, once one of our biggest buyers, is now turning to Brazil. Brazil is used to export only 13% of its crops to China. Now, that number has shot up to 43%. That's a massive leap, and those markets are coming back. China has found a reliable alternative in Brazil, and they are not looking back. Farmers supported Trump. Many of them voted for him, not just once, but twice, and now they are the ones paying the steepest price. It's heartbreaking to hear stories of farmers losing $10,000 to $300,000 from their operating budgets. And it's not just because of lost exports, but also because they trusted their government, signed contracts expecting reimbursement or federal assistance, and now those programs are either frozen or have disappeared entirely. These farmers are being stiffed, abandoned by the very administration they supported. What makes it worse is that these farmers are now planting crops not for profit, but to get the highest payout possible through crop insurance when they eventually sell at a loss. That's not a business model, that's survival. It's a strategy born from desperation, not sound economic planning.
The media plays along. Headline after headline today that Trump got his trade deal with China. And oh, what a trade deal it was. He raised the tariffs to 145%. China pushed back, raising reciprocal tariffs of their own. Farmers and ranchers lost $1.6 billion in beef sales. And Australia stepped in to fill the gap. Markets that will not come back again. Are you listening, farmers and ranchers? Up to 80% of corn crop exports gone. 37 billion metric tons of soybeans sold overseas, gone. Brazil, which used to sell China 13% of their row crop reserves and consumptibles, now sells them 43%, and those markets will not be back. Pork sales down. The threats of fowl sales, chicken, turkey, etc., going down. And what did we gain as a result? The administration admits that China gave up not one single concession to get this deal. Not one. All that happened is that the two sides agreed to lower these tariffs and to back off for 90 days, at which time they would begin to start talking about the longer term issues. So again, just to summarize, we raised tariffs on China 145%. China reciprocated and raised tariffs on the United States. Foreign markets went away that will never come back again. And billions of dollars in American agricultural sales are gone forever. All of it. All of it. So that the president and this administration, which understand agriculture and rural America about as much as I understand brain surgery and how to walk past a Shoney's all-you-can-eat breakfast bar without dipping into the biscuits and gravy, all so that they could claim a victory based on giving up, turning tail and running, rolling away with no wins, letting the Chinese show us up on the world stage, and caught in the wake, standing there in the diesel smoke, breathing in the fumes of failure, are the rural people of this country and farmers and ranchers, who more than any other group will suffer the consequences of what just happened over the past 3 months. And on top of that devastated economy, that billions of dollars in lost sales, that loss will be compounded by program after program after program designed to mitigate the risk associated with having an administration that doesn't understand rural America and agriculture. That damage will be mitigated by program after program after program going away, leaving farmers and ranchers, 30% of whom did not vote for this president, holding the bag. Many of them left with a hole in their farming and ranching budgets of anywhere from $10,000 to $300,000 because they signed a contract promising them that if they improved their operations, they'd be reimbursed for a proportion of those expenditures. Frozen, gone. Unless, of course, they were conservative farmers and ranchers screaming the loudest on social media, crying those crocodile tears. It's a sad state of affairs. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or if you wouldn't touch politics with a 10-foot pole. You're going to suffer the consequences of this bad deal. It's time to wake up. It's time to admit you were lied to. We've got farmers in this country planting crops, not because they think they're going to sell them at a profit, but because they think they're going to get the highest amount in crop insurance for that crop when it's sold at a loss. It's time to wake up. It's time to put these culture wars aside and start voting in our best interest, because how much longer do we have with Wall Street and corporate ag and international companies standing on the sidelines waiting to buy up our small farms and ranches as they fail? As bankruptcies increase, as farmer and rancher unalivings increase in this term, just like they did in his last term, it's time to wake up.
And it's not just soybeans. Beef sales are down. $1.6 billion gone because China turned to Australia. Pork exports have also taken a hit, with 12,000 tons of pork orders cancelled. Corn exports, 80% wiped out. Even poultry sales, chicken and turkey, are under threat. Entire supply chains are being gutted. Longshoremen, truckers, warehouse workers, everyone who depends on agriculture is hurting. Let's not ignore the broader picture. These economic issues are leading to social tragedies. Suicide rates among farmers and ranchers are reportedly rising. That's the cost of these policies: human lives. It's the mental toll of financial stress, hopelessness, and betrayal. Meanwhile, Brazil and Australia are laughing all the way to the bank. China didn't just retaliate with tariffs. They moved on. They've made new reliances, diversified their suppliers, and secured their agricultural needs from other countries. Brazil in particular is thriving, while US soybean production has stagnated. Brazil's has increased year after year, and why wouldn't it? The US practically handed them the golden goose. This trade war didn't result in any meaningful concessions from China. In fact, one of the most damning statements is that the administration admitted that China gave up not one single concession to get the final trade deal. And yet, the US agreed to lower tariffs and back off for 90 days. That's not winning. That's waving white flag. It's worth asking, why did these farmers vote for Trump, especially when tariffs were clearly going to hurt them? Some of the commentary in the sources suggests that cultural and ideological reasons, often described as culture wars, played a role. There seems to have been a belief that Trump understood agriculture and would protect rural America, but this belief turned out to be deeply misguided. One of the most powerful statements from these sources is farmers to put culture wars aside and vote in your best interest. That's a serious message. It's a plea to think critically, to examine policies beyond party lines or slogans, because at the end of the day, these political moves have real-world consequences. This wasn't just about economics, it was about political theater, a MAGA publicity stunt that left the very people who supported it in financial ruin. Now we have conservative farmers screaming on social media, outraged that their trust was betrayed. But this isn't just about being misled, it's about the refusal to question political loyalty until it's too late. Programs that were designed to mitigate risks, like farm assistance, SNAP, Medicaid, and infrastructure investments in rural communities, are either being cut or disappearing. The phrase reverse Robin Hood gets thrown around, where funding is pulled from public rural schools and given to children in private institutions. It's not just a betrayal of economic threats, it's a betrayal of values. Rural communities are being gutted from the inside out. Once thriving agricultural hubs are now turning into ghost towns, and the ripple effects are massive. Local economies, small businesses, transport industries, and public services are collapsing under the weight of those policies. This is more than bad politics. It's failed leadership, and the hardest part is that many of the farmers affected are still trying to hold on, hoping things will improve or that markets will come back. But as many experts and analysts are saying, those markets are gone for good. We have to stop pretending that these are isolated consequences. They are structural. They reflect a deep misunderstanding of global trade, a miscalculation of America's leverage, and a careless disregard for the people who make up the backbone of this country. Some of these farmers believe that the rest of the world depended on the US, that they could throw tariffs around and the world would come begging. That kind of thinking is not just naive, it's dangerous. It underestimates the resilience and adaptability of other nations. It assumes that America is too big to fail. But as we are seeing, the world moves on, with or without us. To any farmer watching this, you deserve better. You deserve policies that work in your interest. You deserve leaders who understand agriculture, who value rural America, and who won't sell your future for a soundbite. It's time to move beyond slogans and start looking at results. What we are left with is a cautionary tale of blind trust, political miscalculation, and the price of ignoring warning signs. The Trump tariffs didn't make America great again. They made America farmers vulnerable, expandable, and replaceable on the world stage. It's time to stop being pawns in political games. Time to demand accountability, because the cost of silence is too high. And the consequences, they are already here. Well, guys, drop your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. And also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.